Hello everybody, Animation Trainer here, and today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, so with Spider-Man Homecoming, it was overall my third most anticipated movie of the year. We're just behind The Last Jedi and Guardians 2. And did it live up to my expectations? Well, let's talk about it real quick. So a lot of people really didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But if you saw my review, you could tell that I actually really enjoyed it. It is. It's not as it still is the weakest, well, second other than Spider-Man 3, I think it's the weakest Spider-Man movie. But I actually didn't think it was that bad at all. In fact, I thought it was pretty good. And then when I found out that Spider-Man was going to be in Civil War, I was like really surprised. And in Civil War, Tom Holland's performance as Spider-Man was just mind blowing. And Tom Holland, and after watching this movie, Tom Holland is my second favorite superhero casting choice, just behind Chris Pratt as Star Lord. And this movie shows. I mean, with the other Spider-Man movies, is yeah, you could relate to them, but here you could really relate to Peter Parker in this film, and because of how young they made him in this film. In fact, me and Peter Parker are around the same age in this movie, which makes things even more relatable, which really works in this kind of movie. And I'm glad that they chose to do the Spider-Man movie format this way, with how each Spider-Man movie takes place in a year in Peter's high school, which really works in this movie. And the Vulture, the Vulture is a great villain. I mean, he's he's. I'm gonna be honest. I think he might be the best MCU villain, maybe even better than Loki. Again, I may need to watch it again, just to like, you know, be able to like 100% say that. But yes, as of now, the Vulture is up there as my favorite MCU villain. Finally, the MCU is starting to get better with their villains. I mean, Zemo was. I mean, well, let me first say this. Phase 3 has been getting better villains so far, because Phase 2 had mostly lame villains. But here, we're actually getting some better villains, finally. For example, the Zemo from Civil War was pretty good. Kaecilius from Doctor Strange was kind of on the more on the bad side, but at least he's like, he improved overall. Then the spoiler villain in Guardians 2, really intimidating and really awesome. And then the Vulture was a great villain. And then something I just realized right now is that this movie actually has a lot of villains, and just like Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But this movie actually really works in having many villains at once. Like, there's the Vulture, there's Shocker. Well, technically there's two Shockers in this movie. And then there's let's see what else. Then there's all the other heroes that are around with the Vulture. But each villain has enough screen time. Although I'll talk a little more about that in the spoiler section, especially the Vulture, because there's one big thing I want to talk about with the Vulture that takes place in spoilers. And another thing I want to add with the Vulture is that Michael Keaton's performance was really great in this movie. He did a great job at bringing the Vulture to life, and just like Peter Parker, he can be a very relatable villain as well, as everything he's doing is for his family. And although I do wish that they did have like a deeper voice, like they kept Michael Keaton's deep voice from the trailers, it's still it still works here. Now let's talk about some of the other characters in this movie. There's Ned, and I'm gonna be honest, this guy is hilarious. I don't know how many times this guy has made me laugh in this movie. He's just really funny. Like, what you guys thought was Drax in Guardians 2, is what Ned is in this movie. Yeah. And then there's also Liz Allen, who is the love interest in this movie for Peter, instead of Gwen or Mary Jane this time around. And overall, she was okay. I would say that I wouldn't really say that she's as good as Gwen from the Amazing Spider-Man, but she's definitely a way bigger upgrade from Mary Jane, which I'll talk a little more in spoilers. And then, so let's see what else. There's also Aunt May here, and while she isn't as good as the one from the Sam Raimi trilogy, she still puts in a lot of really good quotes, and well, not quotes, but like a lot of great scenes in this movie. And she doesn't feel like the generic aunt that's just there to support Peter like she was in the Amazing Spider-Man series. No, here she actually helps Peter a lot more, like she did in the Sam Raimi trilogy. Yeah. And then the action really works in this film as well. Like, there's a couple of really good action scenes. And I must say, this movie has one of the best plot twists ever done in the MCU. Although, to be honest, the other MCU plot twists were kind of trash, except for the one in Guardians 2. And I guess the one in the Winter Soldier was okay. But we saw it coming. This one was mind-blowing. In fact, it's up there with Luke, I am your father, with one of the greatest plot twists I've ever seen in a movie. I'm not lying. Yeah. But is this movie, like, perfect or anything? Like, is it Guardians 2 standards / Civil War? No, I wouldn't say that. It's still a really great movie, but I do have some flaws that are a little noticeable with this movie. For example, the movie actually has quite a bit of predictability in it. Although, to be fair, the marketing was garbage, and they kept, well, not garbage, but marketing sucked, and they kept telling us a lot of things in the trailers, so I won't blame the movie too much for the predictability, because I probably wouldn't have been able to guess it if it wasn't for the marketing. But for the other things, yeah, yeah, there's still some problems with it. Like, I do feel like, not exactly the, the movie itself, but I felt like some parts were a little slow, although, I might try to rewatch it and I'll have a better understanding of the movie, so that part might go away. But the biggest issue I really have with the movie is more the visual effects. I mean, sure, there's Marvel movies that rely a lot on CGI, like Guardians 2, but they were able to pull it off. But with Spider-Man, I feel like there was like a couple noticeable scenes that looked a little fake. In fact, there were some scenes that I felt like was getting me a little dizzy in a way. But that's really like the only real big flaw I have with the movie. Plus the marketing, although the marketing doesn't ruin the movie, it's just a movie. So I'm not gonna put that into effect. But as of now, I'm overall gonna give Spider-Man: Homecoming a 9 out of 10. It might change in second watchings and stuff. So if my opinions do overall change, I may do a re-review of the movie. I'm not too sure yet. So, yeah. Well, now I'm gonna go into more of the spoilers because there are some spoilers I really want to talk about in this movie. So if you have not seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, then you're all set. You've seen my review. You understand what my thoughts are on it. And if you do want to hear my spoiler thoughts later on, just go watch the movie, and then stay here. Yeah, because there are things that you may not understand as I go into the spoilers. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so there's really just two main things I really want. Well, technically 3 to 4 scenes. For example, they revealed that Michelle, I believe that's her name, was actually Mary Jane, which, to be honest, I didn't really find that as a plot twist because just randomly on YouTube, I saw a video, which was a TV spot that was pretty much showing that she was Mary Jane. So I guess that's not really a plot twist in a way, especially since I saw it coming. Which I don't like that they did that at all. No. Then there's the after credit scenes. There's the one with Vulture talking to I believe his name's Scorpion. And I'm really glad. Over first of all, I want to say that I'm glad that they did not kill the Vulture off, because now, since the Vulture is not killed, I'm glad that they could do a Sinister Six movie with the Vulture. So, thank you for that, Sony. Dang, finally Sony's making good ideas. Okay, well, at the same time, it was a collab, so next time I'll get you, Sony. Yeah. And then the movie, so with the after credits scene, it pretty much showed that you can maybe possibly see more Vulture, but at the same time, I'm glad that the Vulture is very like nice to Peter, with since he was able to save Liz in the Washington Monument, which overall was a really great action scene overall. But my favorite scene in the movie, I might have to say, is the scene where Peter was crying for help, and then he realized that no one's gonna help him, and that he truly is Spider-Man. That part was really emotional, in my opinion. Really great scene. And then the other after credit scene was more for comedic effect, which was one of those Captain America shows. That part was really funny, with how he was, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us were expecting an Infinity War after credit scene, and then Captain America just came out saying, "I know you're disappointed, but you must have patience." That was really funny. But the real thing I really wanted to talk about, and in fact, mainly wanted to discuss. Okay, there's two more things. Liz Allen, I'm glad that they didn't make her like super whiny like Mary Jane. While she does complain with Peter a lot, at least with Mary Jane, she started complaining over one little thing that Peter did in Spider-Man 2. But here, Peter actually did a lot of things that probably annoyed her in the movie. So it's a lot more relatable. So you could at least see why she's mad. And then, but okay, the real plot twist I really wanted to talk about. Vulture was Liz Allen's dad the whole time, and that part really got me a lot. Like, once I saw Peter open the door and I saw the Vulture, I was all like, oh shoot. Yeah, that part was just absolutely mind blowing, and I can't believe that happened in the movie. I'm not kidding. Like, I was just mind blown. And I really like the scene that follows afterward, where he was trying to where the Vulture was trying to get everything that Liz was saying about Peter the whole time, and then was able to figure out that he was Spider-Man. Yeah, that part was just wicked. Yeah, this is one of the greatest final scenes I've ever seen. I mean, final acts that I've seen. That part was really great, and of course, Pepper comes out in the end, which I've heard rumors about, but then when I actually saw her, I was all like, oh shoot, that's Pepper. Yeah, because I was really surprised, because she wasn't in any, because she's been saying a lot of stuff and she didn't want to be in the superhero movies anymore. So I was quite surprised that they actually put her in the end of the movie overall. Yeah. And I think that's all I really have to say about the movie. Although, oh, I forgot to mention Tony Stark in my regular in my non-spoilers. I'm glad that they didn't use him that much in this movie, because this could have easily been Iron Man 4 with Spider-Man in the background if they used Tony a lot. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So, goodbye.